from the Instagram account of Now This Impact and Impact, Teamsters across the United States are voicing their support for Vice President Kamala Harris. Is that right? Because it seems to me as if the entire union put out a statement fairly recently saying that we're not endorsing anybody, which basically is a tepid endorsement of Donald Trump because you guys have endorsed Democrats for at least the past 20 years. And now you want to pretend that these weirdo guys have come out to show support. Who is this for? You're hoping to get other Teamsters. You're hoping to get other union members. This is completely despicable, but this is all they have left. And I do have a couple other tabs of some of the desperation that we are living through right now. Obviously, the propaganda is through the roof. And, you know, I guess I applaud them for being so desperate, but they never talk one little bit about how they're going to fix the problem. We've seen it over and over again. Kamala Toe Hills Up Harris is asked a question about the economy, and then she goes into a weird diatribe about her family and the lawns and refuses to answer any of the questions.
When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people, you know, construction workers and nurses and teachers. And I try to explain to some people who may not have had the same experience, you know, but a lot of people will relate to this. You know, I grew up in a neighborhood of folks who were very proud of their lawn, you know.
Perhaps she doesn't have an answer. Perhaps she can't remember what's going on because she's always drunk. I truly do not know. But my name's Eric. This channel is called Report and Opine. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm absolutely begging you.
I'm begging you, please. Come on, please.
It would help me a lot and cost you nothing. But if you wanted to help me a little bit more and spend a tiny bit of money, you would buy my book, New York City 2020, Gotham Unglued, on Amazon.com. That link will be in the description.
I'm a Teamster, and I'm voting against Donald Trump.
I'm a Teamster voting for Harris.
Teamsters have a proud tradition of challenging authority, of standing up to the bosses.
The most votes ever for a
So now they have to do their little thing on their own, probably getting some kickback from the DNC because the party, or the union as a whole, said, no, we're not doing this. But of course, they are going to do it anyways because that's how desperate the entire regime has become.
Contract for Teamsters at UPS.
Fighting for what's rightfully ours. We know the difference between someone who will fight for us and someone who just pretends to on TV.
I truly cannot believe this, right? I understand that unions have largely been Democrat for several decades now, but anybody who is in their right mind, and loads of these people are not, but if you're a hardworking American, if you hope that your dollar goes further and you hope that you can pass down some sort of, you know, inheritance to your kids, whatever the case may be, how on earth could you possibly be rooting for Kamala Harris? I mean, I think this is just pure evil because they know that in the short term, they might get a little kickback from the DNC, but in the long term, it's going to be absolutely terrible.
This fall, we're going to the polls, and we're proudly voting for Harris.
Because she cast the deciding vote to save our pensions.
Without pension, we don't have any retirement.
That's our life savings, and he could care less about it.
As a Teamster, I am voting against Donald Trump.
Because he tried to gut the NLRB.
And note how they're voting against Donald Trump. I do think one guy in there said, I'm voting for Kamala, but the other one said, I'm voting against Donald Trump. And they truly do not care.
When he had his interview with Elon Musk, and what did they both say?
Go on strike and you say, that's okay, you're all gone.
They'd rather fire us all than pay us what we're worth.
I'm a Teamster, and I'm voting against Donald Trump.
Because he's a scab.
He crosses picket lines, and he's a scab.
This November, we're coming together in every corner of the country, in every industry. And we're sending a message to Donald Trump. We will do anything to stop a union buster from getting back in the White House.
Can't back anyone that wouldn't support the working man.
And we're prepared to fight for it.
I am a Teamster.
I am a Teamster.
I am a Teamster.
I've been a Teamster all my life. and I'm voting for Kamala Harris. This is the most crucial election in history.
Okay. And there's a lot of people out there that absolutely love these unions and they do a lot of good work. But me personally, my own experience with I don't remember what union it was many years ago at one of my first jobs. They're like, oh, it was mandatory, right? We're talking about San Francisco. You had to join the union. I'm like, well, maybe if I was 50 years old and this was the end of the line for me, I needed you to help me out, then I would give you a little bit of every single paycheck I make. But when I'm 19, 20 years old, there's absolutely no way I'm going to hand over a portion of each and every check to this lady who was quite literally in a high-rise office space smoking cigarettes in San Francisco. But that's not what this is about. The point is, some people like these unions and perhaps they do some good work, but it's all been so corrupted, they cannot be trusted anymore. And keeping in this weird desperation theme that they're doing right now, you have scumbag greaseball banger wife Governor Gavin Newsom with a clip from his podcast where he has brought on Bill Nye, the science guy, weirdo Democrat shill, pretends to be science but also says, oh, a little boy can be a little girl or whatever. And here they say Bill Nye is coming in with the facts. The promotion of science is actually in the U.S. Constitution. Somebody should let the GOP know. So here, they're going to harp on this, their buzzword of science that we've heard for the past handful of years. Oh, trust the science, trust the science. But obviously they won't, because they want to change your little boy into your little girl.
I'm a transgender woman. My pronouns are she, her.
But here they're going to let you know that the word science is actually in the Constitution.
Is the U.S. Constitution. As I like to say, you can get it in paperback now. As a CEO of the nonprofit, I have gone to congressional offices many times, Senate offices many times. I've met senators.
I mean, this just can't be possible. The weirdo Democrats that are already on your side, they're good. You don't have to prove anything to them. This guy is not for one split second going to change anybody's mind who's even in the center or of course on the right. Oh yeah, this is a sign. I read the Constitution. Whatever, bro. As soon as you start talking about chopping the junk off little boys, you have lost any and all credibility you could have ever hoped to have. Same thing with Nancy Pelosi. For the record, she's 90 years old, and then she goes on some Senate floor and starts talking about trans kids.
Recognizing that we are all God's children, I rise in opposition to this legislation because trans kids are all God's children, belong in sports, in schools, in books, in families, and on teams. It's really important for us as leaders in our country to speak with respect for all of the people in our country. Trans kids listen and hear what we say, and we do not want to do them harm for whatever purpose.
Lady, it wasn't even 15 years ago when you were still old as dirt. You wouldn't have even pretended that was the case, but I'm getting off track.
Members of Congress who know the Constitution, took an oath to it, and they're generally familiar with Article 1, where we're going to have a Senate and a House of Representatives. But I've met a lot of people who don't know Section 8, Clause 8. Congress shall promote the progress of science and useful arts.
Useful.
The word science is in the Constitution, peoples.
Okay, so why don't you, you told us for years to trust the science, so why don't you guys go ahead and do the same, which obviously they will never do. And here's from Alana, right? She had the huge hit show Broad City. She is a Democrat shill of the highest order. It's absolutely ridiculous. But she says, fun while canvassing Pennsylvania with hot actor Brandon Flynn. So clearly they are desperate. They realize, to their credit, that Pennsylvania is going to mean a lot. And they're trying, I'm sure they're trying their hardest to just cheat and not actually do real work. But the caption says, we canvassed in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, in one of the most consequential counties in this election. It was fun, effective, and brief, to be honest. Sign up. And then she gives a shout out. And this woman, I can almost guarantee she is getting bags of money, just like D.L. Hughley or some weirdo payoff to shill this nonsense. And for better or for worse, this might have worked 10 or 15 years ago. But Alana from Broad City, I guess you're going to target the 35 to 40-year-old woman who used to watch her. This is not for the TikTok generation. This is not for college kids. They don't know what the hell this lady is talking about. Okay, it sounds like they're going to copyright or something. But look at this, bro. Who is this convincing? I'm genuinely curious. Like, Ilana and some weird dudes doing a dance to convince voters in Pennsylvania that, I guess, Kamala, she never said she was going to ban fracking. And it's like, the fracking thing was the one thing that she actually said with her chest, right? We all remember, what did she say? I forget the exact quote, but there's no doubt in my mind that I'm going to ban fracking.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yeah.
In 2019. But then in 2024, no, I would never ban fracking. Okay, fine. People are allowed to evolve and change. But why were you for banning fracking? And what changed to make you not for banning fracking? She's never going to talk about that. And here, just really quickly, this is from 2022, I believe, 2 years ago. When it's Ilana Glazer, same woman, of course, stripping down naked to trick people into voting. Have you made a voting plan yet? It's like, who are you voting for? This is literally it, right? I mean, you constantly talk about aborting kids. You want to be promiscuous and abort children and do nude advertisements, but then call everybody else who might not think exactly the same as you just plain weird. And here's one more, also from Ilana, 98 weeks ago. So again, in the midterm election, I believe, same thing.
Vote November 8th and eat my ass.
That's it. It's just completely vulgar nonsense in order to trick people, I guess, into voting Democrat. And the hypocrisies obviously know no bounds, right? We see, criminal illegal anchor baby support group. Meanwhile, if you're an American woman, then you should probably just bin that baby. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But these are just a couple of recent posts from, these ones are old, sorry. But I just had to, I'm under the impression that this woman, to her credit, is at least just shilling for the Democrats no matter how long, no matter what they ask to do. Maybe she's on a lifetime contract. Same thing with Chris Rock. He came out and gave Andrew Cuomo a fist bump with gloves on, and then went to Oprah's call-in Zoom show thing, which I think we also never would have done if it weren't for Rona. But that aside, these are just several recent posts with their...
I am speechless. I am without speech.
Their desperation on full display.